shook about your look. Tell me about
really
this.
strange tan lines. It was really strange. I mean, what do you want to know about it? This is my Karma. It's a costume from the official music video. Honestly, I just wanted to wear it again. I love it so much.
Biggest thing about this video, I don't care if people like it, I don't care if people hate it, but I want people to turn their head at it.
Fame is a funny thing. It promises everything: glamour, fortune, and a name that echoes through generations. But what happens when that fame isn't a choice? What happens when a child's personality is stripped away piece by piece, replaced with a carefully curated, neon-colored persona designed for mass consumption? For the past decade, JoJo Siwa has been a walking, talking, and dancing embodiment of childhood joy. The massive bows, the blindingly bright outfits, the infectious energy, her image was meticulously crafted, not just by herself, but by industry, by a mother, and by an entire machine built to turn children into brands. And for a while, it worked. Millions of kids adored her. Parents saw her as a safe, wholesome figure in a world full of bad influences. She was the rebel, the child star who never grew up. Until she did. Now, JoJo Siwa has rebranded. Gone is the sparkly rainbow-colored image that defined her for years. In its place is something darker, something desperate. A new persona that feels like an overcorrection, a scream into the void, a rejection of everything she was forced to be. She isn't the first child to break free from an artificial mold, but her transformation feels uniquely jarring because JoJo Siwa wasn't just a celebrity, she was a product. And now, for the first time in her life, she's trying to be a person. But what happens when a person has spent their entire life being sold?
Oh my god, JoJo Siwa, can I ask you some questions?
Yes, I'm on my way, but come on, come with me.
Thanks. Can you do your best ASMR into our little baby mic?
Karma's a bitch.
She should have known better. What's your favorite thing about the UK?
Favorite thing about UK? The accents. Oh.
I'm so glad you said that. What's your favorite dance move at the moment? And she nails it every time. What's your favorite moment of queer pop culture?
I mean, anything having to do with G-Flip. I love that human. Also, Fletcher's Becky effect. Whew.
Yes. Always. Do you have an affirmation for the girls, gays, and nays?
Have fun every you deserve it.
I love that. Do you have a message for your haters?
You. Karma's a bitch, never forget it.
And finally, what's your favorite way to say goodbye?
Never forget it. I'm just kidding. I love you. You're the best.
This is the story of JoJo Siwa, the manufactured superstar, the overworked child, the brand that became bigger than the girl behind it. From the moment she could walk, her life wasn't hers. It belonged to her mother, Joelle Siwa, who saw her as a project, a new Hannah Montana, a new Britney Spears, a new face to slap onto a multi-million-dollar empire. But before she had a chance to figure out who she was, the world already decided for her. Her time on Dance Moms was nothing short of a pressure cooker. A young girl is thrown into a world of competition, where tears and breakdowns are just another part of the entertainment. It wasn't just about being talented, it was about standing out. Loud outfits, big personality, constant energy. She wasn't just dancing, she was performing an identity. Then came the contracts, the Nickelodeon deal, the JoJo Siwa merchandise empire, bows, dolls, lunchboxes, even bed sheets. She wasn't just a dancer anymore. She wasn't even just a singer. She was a brand. But a brand can't have an identity crisis. A brand can't feel exhausted. A brand doesn't get to grow up. For years, she played the role perfectly. She leaned into it, even when it became suffocating. But behind the massive bows and the glitter-covered stage lights, cracks started to form. As she got older, her audience remained young, too young to follow her into adulthood. Every attempt to evolve was met with resistance. She was trapped in a world that demanded she stay exactly as she was, eternally 12 years old. Then everything changed. She came out as part of the LGBTQ+ community, a move that alienated a portion of her original fan base. She cut her hair and rebelled against the image she had spent her entire childhood trapped in. But even as she tried to reclaim herself, she was still fighting against a machine that had already decided who JoJo Siwa was supposed to be. Now in 2024, she has reinvented herself once again. But this time the reaction has been brutal. Her new hyper-sexualized image, her desperate attempt to shed the past, has left fans bewildered. Some say she's just growing up. Others see it as a textbook case of a child star finally breaking down under the weight of their own brand. And the question remains, did JoJo Siwa ever get to be Joelle Siwa? Or was she just a character, written and rewritten until the real girl underneath disappeared completely?
Tell me about this look here.
This is my Karma Black Beast look. This is my music video outfit. Got to bust it out of the vault today. It's got some rips in it, but you would never know.
No, you don't know. I mean, how would you be able to tell?
If
you might be able to
if
tell.
you looked close enough, yeah.
You were talking a lot recently about sort of leaving the adolescent era behind and moving into a more adult era. How has that been going for you?
It's been fun. It's been criticized, that's for sure.
What do you think that is?
People are afraid of things they don't know. Things can be scary for people. New things can be very, very scary. But I think that creating art is such a special, special thing. And I'm very lucky that I'm one of the people in the world that gets to create art.
Talk to me about the people who support it, right? Because you're a person, you're a human who is, going to grow and change as you become an adult and mature, and will continue to change hopefully for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the people who get it and what you've heard from them.
Honestly, the way that I'm able to keep going and keep being like, wait, actually, what I'm doing is right, is because some of the most respected people in the world have come up to me and been like, what you're doing right now is so right. It is so right. It is what the world needs. Like, I'm learning from what you're doing right now, and that's crazy to me. I mean, I heard that from Lil Nas X yesterday. Heard it from Meghan Trainor a few days ago. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. The support from people like that, artists, that means the world to me.
This documentary will uncover it all. Her childhood under the thumb of a mother who saw dollar signs, the brutal reality of dance moms, the multi-million-dollar empire that controlled her image, and the inevitable identity crisis that followed. Because when a child is raised to be a brand, what happens when the brand is no longer enough?
You're not ready.
I'm not ready.
I want you to close your eyes. This is my first dance outfit.
Before JoJo Siwa became a brand, she was just a little girl from Omaha, Nebraska. She was never going to be just anything, not if her mother had anything to do with it. Her mother, Joelle Siwa, was a dance instructor herself, and she confessed that her only mission in life was to make JoJo a star.
I would say it's my mission in life to make JoJo a star.
Part of being a star is you must have a hair bow in at all times. Say bye, Coco.
Joelle Siwa was born on May 19, 2003, into a world where her future had already been decided for her. Her father, Tom Siwa, was a chiropractor, and she also had a brother named Jaden. Her mother, Jesslyn, was a woman who had spent her life in the competitive dance circuit. But Jesslyn didn't just want to teach dancers, she wanted to create a star. And in JoJo, she saw her golden ticket. Her mother put JoJo in dance classes when she was only 2 years old. She said in an interview that she made JoJo go to dance classes, whether she wanted to or not.
You encourage her to go to dance class.
I made her go to dance class.
I love it. She's real.
It's not a choice.
I love it.
I don't care if she didn't want to learn or not.
And then you saw something like magical. You're like, you could really do this professionally. When does that moment click for
I
you?
knew she was different when she was like 2.5. It was really...
Think about that for a second. 2 years old. Before JoJo even had the ability to form full sentences, she was already being shaped for an audience. While most toddlers were learning their ABCs, JoJo was learning choreography. And not just for fun, she was being trained, molded, prepared for something bigger. According to a lot of people, Jesslyn also neglected JoJo's education a lot. She was homeschooled for a good part of her life, attending elementary school for only a short duration. This is because she never had time to focus on her studies or have a normal life that kids her age had.
Okay, so we just made it to Fullerton, which is the school that I went to for 3rd grade. This place brings back so many memories because of what happened to me here. This was really the first time that I experienced what bullying is really like. Not necessarily to me, but to other people. I did come mid-school year, so therefore I was different than everyone else, and I didn't really have a friend group, so that was that.
My mom brain's bad. I feel like it's because of the dance world and the discipline and the training and the hours and like a work ethic. How did you, like JoJo truly loves working a lot and she's good at it and she's smart. Like when anyone asks me like what's she actually like, I'm like, she's the smartest person I've met.
She understands the game. Not many people understand the game.
But she's winning and because she's the smartest. But did you do that? How did you teach her that?
Well, she was homeschooled, right?
See, I'm homeschooled. Okay.
Okay. And so first grade, we introduced spelling. All of a sudden, she sits down for her first spelling test and literally just starts writing all the words down. And I was like, hey, I didn't even say the words yet. Like, what's happening? And she was like, well, I memorized all the letters. I'm like, all right, you're done. We're not doing this. This is unhealthy. No more tests for you, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and she's always just wanted everything to be right and more and wanting to learn. And so that was amazing to work with. And we just fostered it as much as we could and ran with it.
Wow.
And then one day she was just like, I want to dance.
Well, she didn't really love dancing that
Really?
much. No.
Really?
And I pushed her pretty hard to dance. And I would.
Didn't you run a dance studio?
Oh my God, my whole life. I loved it.
Yeah.
I still love it. And she would be like, well, you can take me to a ballet lesson, but I'm not going to even try or learn today.
So instead of focusing on her education, Jesslyn always pushed her in the direction of dancing and solo competitions, which would have made sense for a 2-year-old if at least she liked it. But according to Jesslyn, JoJo was never even that passionate about dancing. The reality was that Jesslyn only wanted to live vicariously through her daughter JoJo. Jesslyn had a dance school called Just Dance Company that was shut down in 2016. So she made it her personal mission to make JoJo everything she wanted her to be. Not only this, but she also dressed JoJo in giant sparkly bows from a very young age, which later became a staple for the JoJo Siwa brand. It was as if everything was chosen for her right from the beginning. From her style to her career to her education, everything was already decided for her, and she had no say in it. However, the perfect child star doesn't just happen, they are created. And more often than not, they're created by parents who see them as an opportunity.
When did you know that she had that star quality?
I think she was probably about 2 when I knew. It's funny, I called like that 1-800, my kid's a star. Did you ever hear that on the radio? I was like, does your kid want to be on Disney or Nickelodeon or whatever? Call 1-800, my kid's a star.
I've never heard that.
Oh my God.
I've heard about a lot of like modeling things that
It's
are
one
scams.
of those, yeah. Okay,
Right.
I don't feel like it was though. I feel like for me, I learned a lot and I met a lot of people and I did that. I literally was like, oh, I'll just try anything. I don't care. You know, what have you got to lose if you just try it?
Right,
And
right.
that was,
But you had to pay money.
you did, yeah.
Yeah. So be careful about those things.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
sometimes you're in the middle of Nebraska. Like, what are you going to do?
That's it. People really did like her. She was a fun kid. She was
Right,
funny, like, you
right.
know, her personality. And she didn't like it when people touched her, though. Like, she'd be like, Mom. And I'm like, they're just hugging you. You're like a little kid. They all want to pick you up. And so I taught her to say, back off, Jack. And that's what she would tell everyone.
They
Back off,
teach
Jack.
kids that now.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they say, your kid doesn't need to hug the aunt
Yeah.
that they've never
Mhm.
seen until Christmas morning. You
Yeah.
know, like, forget it.
She's
Right.
like, don't touch. And I was like, all right. I mean, it was literally like 10-year-olds hugging a 4-year-old. It wasn't a big deal, but that was the only thing, you know?
Well,
yeah.
She stood around.
Yeah. Back off, Jack.
Back off, Jack.
This is the dark side of child fame. Parents who see potential in their children and take control of their lives, making all the decisions and setting all the expectations. But for JoJo, it was even more extreme. Because Jesslyn wasn't just trying to get JoJo into the industry, she was engineering her into something marketable. When she was only 2 years old, Jesslyn entered JoJo into her first ever solo dance competition and made her perform to Ma, I'm a Big Girl Now from Hairspray. When JoJo was 5 years old, her mother came across auditions for a local community theater for Annie. However, it turned out that she was too young for any role. But Jesslyn was adamant about making JoJo a star, and this is what made JoJo different. While most child stars became famous through movies or TV shows, JoJo's mother built her from the ground up. Jesslyn wanted JoJo to be the next Hannah Montana, so she flew to LA to make her and JoJo's dreams a reality.
Because you guys lived in Nebraska, right?
Talk about sacrifice too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you
Y'all were
pretty
like,
much jump
let's-
ship and go to LA.
Okay.
How old was she?
Well, when we did Dance Moms, JoJo was like 11.
Okay.
All right. And that started shooting in Pittsburgh, and then it moved out here to LA.
Oh.
And
you jumped to Pittsburgh.
So we jumped to Pittsburgh first, and we
But
looked at
only
the
you
Doubletree.
and JoJo.
Only JoJo and I, yes. And so then when Dance Moms filmed, we came out here. And then when we signed with Nickelodeon, we were kind of on our own out here. You know, like Dance Moms took care of us. And then when we went with Nickelodeon, it was like us. And the day I told my husband, I was like, we have to take her. We have to move. You know, like we did this Nickelodeon deal. He literally started crying. And JoJo was like, are we not going to be able to do it? And I'm like, no, we're going to do it. Just like give him a minute. Yeah. And I'm like,
let him get these tears out.
Yeah,
We'll
but it was
reel them in.
hard because it was like more permanent.
It's so scary. But what?
It's
what was
insane life changes.
I know.
It
Was he
is.
like, do I keep my job here or do I find it?
When JoJo was only 9 years old, she got her first big break in Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition. Now, if you don't already know, Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition was an American dance reality competition series on Lifetime, a spin-off of the hit reality television series Dance Moms, which JoJo later joined. The series was produced by Abby Lee Miller and followed 12 talented boy and girl dancers who were competing for $100,000 and a scholarship to the prestigious Joffrey Ballet Academy. For those of you who don't already know about Abby Lee Miller, here's a little disclaimer. She has a bad reputation for being rude and downright insensitive to little girls. She would often shout at them and frequently make kids cry on her show. Abby thought of herself as a strict mentor. She believed that she was making these girls thick-skinned, ultimately preparing them for the future. But in reality, she was just creating a really toxic and suffocating environment for kids who were already living under their parents' thumbs. These few clips that we're about to show you will give you guys a very good idea of what went on in these shows.
Everyone's jealous of you. Why do you
You are!
No,
Look at
we're
you!
not! No, we're not!
Years
you
ago!
have sabotaged my daughter and the rest of the
Daughter's
kids!
a little snake!
How dare you call my daughter a sneak?
Snake!
She's not a
Snake!
sneak!
Snake!
You're a sneak
No.
and a snake! You do these things to these kids!
She is talented.
Yes,
and
she is.
should
Nobody's
relish
denying it.
Because in 5 years, she might not be talented anymore. 4, 5.
Oh, she ran out of the room. That was her improv.
She ran away from the spider.
Look, Maddie's yelling at her.
6, 7, 8.
Try as hard as I can.
Oh, poor thing. 14.
Why are you
15.
laughing at me?
Because I think you're ridiculous. Go, get out of here. Go sit up the stairs with your mother. I don't know what to do. Oh well.
Well, you get the concept. It was just a horrible environment for little girls to grow up in. Abby was constantly mean to the contestants. She shouted, she abused, she cursed, and she did pretty much everything horrible to these girls. If anything, this just proves that these kids were not thought of as children, neither by Abby nor their moms. And JoJo, just like all these kids, felt the need to prove herself all the time, and not in a nurturing or creative environment. JoJo was in Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition for 9 weeks with her mother before she was eliminated. But this was not the end. In fact, it was far from it. Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition actually propelled JoJo Siwa's dance career to new heights when she was noticed by Abby and called for Dance Moms not very long after. She began auditioning in 2014 and was selected for Dance Moms in 2015. By the time JoJo was 10, she was ready for the next step. And for kids in the dance world, there was no bigger opportunity than Dance Moms. The reality show was notorious for two things: drama and Abby Lee Miller, the terrifying dance coach known for screaming at children until they broke down in tears. It wasn't just a competition, it was survival of the fittest. JoJo, with her oversized bows and bigger-than-life personality, stood out immediately. But being on Dance Moms wasn't just about dancing. It was about performing for the cameras 24/7. And JoJo wasn't just a contestant. She was the girl her mom had spent years preparing for this exact moment. There were many moments on the show when Jessalyn and JoJo got shouted at by Abby. Abby thought JoJo was way too outspoken. She would often interfere in the conversations when two adults would be talking. One iconic moment from Dance Moms Season 4 is when Abby shouted at JoJo for talking when she was not spoken to. It's infamously known as the JoJo have you learned nothing moment.
Gia, do you know the order of the solos?
JoJo! Have you learned nothing? Some famous lines
Yes.
that have come from this.
Lots of them.
JoJo, have you learned nothing?
Not a
So,
thing.
what was that about? I know what it was about.
Yeah.
People don't know the lead up. That's the thing, is everyone sees me screaming at these little kids and they don't know what happened. That's like C. They don't see A and B.
Right.
Okay, so what happened, Miss JoJo?
I was really good at interrupting, still am. It's one of my specialties. I won't say I'm good at a lot of things, but I am really good at that. So you would get really frustrated at me when I would interrupt, which is very,
She
very
would
normal.
interrupt two adults speaking, and I used to tell her about it all the time.
And so if you watch the clip, you see you and Gianna like with each other, but not speaking. You were not talking, but you were like you had been talking and now you were like thinking together was the
Okay,
vibe.
all
So I
right.
did wait.
Also, another disturbing thing that we'd like to mention here is that this show wasn't just turning little girls into spiteful, competitive creatures and petting them against each other for recognition at such a young age when they should be making friends and learning to be kind to people. The entire time JoJo was on the show, she made a unique persona for herself. She was sassy, she was mean, and she was outspoken. That's exactly what people liked about her.
I'm a princess, duh. I am pretty good in rehearsal and I'm like fabulous on stage.
You have a lot of sass going on.
Now, you haven't seen the half of me yet. When it comes to the other dancers, knock them all off the dance floor because it's my week. All of the moms love hating on me, but I made it to the top 5.
Do you speak for everyone? Do you answer for everyone? It's rude.
I feel like I'm the best dancer here, and I think it's time everyone else here realizes it. I should be on Broadway. You have to sing, you have to dance, you have to be able to speak well, and I'm good at all of those. We have stupid ribbons, stupid dance. Just give me it. I want it.
And that's when the cracks started to show. Because while JoJo became a fan favorite, she was also becoming a villain on the show. The other girls hated her for always being on. The audience was split. Was she a fun, confident kid, or an annoying, over-the-top character? One of the most villainous things that Jess and JoJo did on the show was when they stole a kid's audition script from their personal belongings.
You come with me for a minute. So,
You found one for me.
now Kalani doesn't have a script. So we might have to go quick.
Don't do it. No, let them be.
Let them do it.
She took that out of your daughter's purse. That's
She took it
great.
out of Kalani's purse?
Yeah. Sorry.
The land's so good.
Okay. Did you go in my daughter's purse?
Why would I go in your daughter's purse?
I don't know, but that's Kalani's.
It was laying on the floor.
It's a Kalani.
It was laying on the floor. Do you not give a shit about it? You just throw it on the floor. You don't care about it here.
Really? Because I think you got it out of a purse.
While this seems like an obviously scripted incident and was probably beneficial for JoJo and Jess in the show, since they were the standout drama characters on Dance Moms, what they failed to realize was that this created an evil image for them, which was not very good for their personal brand. At the time, Jess and JoJo were only thinking about Dance Moms, and so they became the main characters of it. However, behind the scenes, things weren't so perfect. The pressure to be JoJo was suffocating. At just 10 years old, she had already learned one important lesson. The moment you stop performing, they stop caring. There was this one particular incident in season 5 of Dance Moms where Abby kicked JoJo out of the pyramid for not watching a scary movie that she assigned for her for the performance. She accused JoJo of being lazy and told her that she had the same expression on the entire time she was performing. What we need to realize here is that it doesn't matter how old she acted. In reality, she was just an 11-year-old who was scared of watching a scary movie in a hotel room all by herself. And to berate a kid like this for just not watching a movie is just beyond unreasonable for us. The drama between Jess, JoJo, and Abby was something that became a standout feature of the show. And despite JoJo making headlines, she and Jesslyn were accused of consistently being unprofessional and having no work ethic. According to Abby, Jesslyn was raising a monster.
Since I'm your guest, do you feel bad that you didn't get to see my solo?
No. You are creating a monster.
While we don't quite agree with Abby, we do think that Jess was stealing JoJo's childhood and innocence away. However, the real monsters were both Abby and Jess, who were commercializing a kid's life. One thing that we found particularly disturbing in JoJo's story is the fact that her mother has been dyeing her hair blonde for years. JoJo herself confessed in an interview that she is not a natural blonde, but to stay consistent with her whole image on the show, her mom has been bleaching her hair since she was 2.
You know, your hair is getting really dark. We're gonna need to lighten this up.
I have been dyeing my hair since I was like 2, maybe 1.5. I'm not a natural blonde. I'm actually a natural brown. I get brown roots, so I have to dye it so it looks like I'm a natural blonde.
Abby can't say we didn't go all.
This just shows how obsessive Jesslyn was when it came to JoJo and her career. And when she entered Dance Moms under Abby's toxic mentorship, things got way worse for JoJo. However, this contract with Dance Moms didn't last for very long, with JoJo leaving the show for good. We don't really know what happened, but the show portrayed that JoJo had to leave because she was having an issue with the ballet duet. A user on Reddit wrote, JoJo and Jess actually left the show because JoJo had been offered a contract with Nickelodeon. That apparently wasn't dramatic enough for Lifetime, so they concocted the ballet duet drama to use as the reason instead. Despite the drama, Dance Moms launched JoJo to national fame. But Jesslyn knew reality TV wouldn't last forever. If JoJo was going to be a household name, she needed something bigger. JoJo Siwa got a YouTube account by the name It's JoJo Siwa, and honestly, this is where she became a true sensation. You see, at that time, there were very few high-quality creators making content on YouTube that appealed to the younger audience, and JoJo Siwa was one of them. Parents thought of JoJo Siwa as a safe space that their children enjoyed. On top of that, JoJo's entire sparkly and loud persona was something that kids really liked, even if it was annoying at times. Throughout the years 2015 to 2017, JoJo posted non-stop on her YouTube channel. She made videos about her childhood, her dance, random Q&A, pretty much whatever was relevant to her audience at the time.
Hey everyone, it's JoJo. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. You guys, today I am so excited because it is finally time for my brand new bedroom makeover. This is about to be so epic. I'm giving myself a huge bedroom makeover using all my brand new products from Target. I'm talking bedding, I'm talking cool in-home products. I'm also talking that I had a whole new bed made. I had a whole new thing for my bows made, maybe even a little JoJo's Juice thing. So I'm about to let you guys watch a little behind the scenes of creating my room, and then I'm gonna take you on a tour. Check it out.
Hey everyone, a lot of you have been asking for me to do a question and answer. So at dance_moms_fam asked, what actor or singer is your favorite? My favorite singer is Miley Cyrus, hands down. 7 Flawless Dancers asked, where do you get your bows? They are awesome. My mother makes them all. It's pretty awesome. Moms Reacts asked, who are you closest with on the show? I really like all the girls, but me and Mackenzie have like a really good, we really like each other and we play games together and it's just really fun. At Nia_SWIA said, why do you like wearing bows? Because bows are my life. At Maddie Mac ALDC asked, how long have you been dancing and what is your favorite style? I've been dancing my whole life, so I did my first solo when I was 2. So 9 years, so a very long time. At dancers.xl asked, how many bows do you have? I have 527 exact.
Her consistency with YouTube was what really made her more accessible to children her age. In 2015, a pivotal moment came in JoJo Siwa's life when she met Karen Sterling. Now, if you don't already know, Sterling has been an integral part of JoJo Siwa's brand and one of those adults to really monetize on her internet persona. Karen met JoJo when she was trying to sell some jewelry made by her daughter to JoJo. That's when she talked to JoJo Siwa and decided to help her achieve her dreams of becoming a human brand. This was also when JoJo made a switch from dancing to singing, starting her merch and much more.
You were part of the billion-dollar success story of JoJo Siwa brand, right?
Yeah, I have to say so. I met JoJo almost 9 years ago. And I hopped on a plane, and my husband said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Vegas." He said, "For what?" Because I don't really party. I'm too busy. And I said, "I'm going to see this little girl do her thing. If she's a brat and her mom's a freak, I'll be back for breakfast." Like, I literally moved that fast. But when I got there and I met her and her mom, and I asked JoJo what she wanted out of life, because she was just telling me her whole story. I was like, wait, there's something here. And I didn't know what. And she told me what she wanted. And immediately, Jim, I knew in my belly exactly what it was I was going to do for her. I was going to make all of her wishes come true and beyond. I said, I'm going to build you to be a human brand.
Wow.
We're going to build a platform with a purpose. You follow my lead, and I will make all of this happen for you and with you and more.
Sterling, a brand strategist, saw in JoJo what many others had missed, a walking, talking marketing goldmine. She helped position JoJo's image as more than just a phase, but as a movement, ensuring that every item sold wasn't just about fashion, it was about belonging. So in 2016, Siwa released a line of hair bows in collaboration with fashion accessory and jewelry company Claire's. The line of hair bows, which were inspired by the hair bows that were Siwa's signature accessory during this period, experienced particular success among primary school pupils in the United Kingdom. Even though these bows were not cheap, kids were falling over themselves to get their hands on them.
In here, Bobo.
I'm telling you, this dog, she runs my life.
Ooh, we got extra bows. See, I only put the one bow in. She put the rest of these in. This is one of Bobo's favorite harnesses. It's really cute because it has a bow on it and it looks like a little tux. You like this thing? Say, yes, I do. And it looks like the last thing that is in here is a picture of me and Bobo.
It turned JoJo from a mere entertainer into a merchandising phenomenon. The JoJo Siwa bow collection became an instant hit, with Claire's stores packed with young girls clamoring to get their hands on them. The bows weren't just hair accessories, they were a status symbol. If you had a JoJo bow, you were part of the Siwanators army. If you didn't, you were missing out.
So the first bow we have is metallic gold, purple, and blue bow, and there's some actual real fabric inside. I don't know if you guys can see right here, and it's just blue. So my second one is the one that I forgot to get. It's this mermaid one. It's so...
Hey guys, it's Lauren and Pipsqueak for SheSay.com, and today I am so excited to share with you the new line of JoJo Siwa bows.
Under Sterling's guidance, Claire's and JoJo's brand went beyond hair accessories, expanding into bags, shoes, clothes, and even bedroom decor. But as JoJo's brand skyrocketed, so did the commercialization of her identity. Every aspect of her persona was now tied to a product. The bows weren't just bows anymore, they were JoJo herself. And that kind of branding, while lucrative, comes with a price. Because once a child becomes a product, it's nearly impossible for them to grow up without breaking the illusion that made them famous in the first place. JoJo Siwa's bows became so popular that some schools decided to ban them, citing various concerns such as peer pressure, classroom distractions, and violations of dress codes. Their overwhelming popularity even led to other retailers producing similar bows to capitalize on the trend. Siwa herself described her bows as more than just an accessory, calling them a symbol of power, confidence, and believing in yourself.
I've always just worn bows. I've loved bows ever since I was in preschool. And then the bows just got bigger and better and sparklier. And then I became JoJo with the Bobo. It became a thing. A bow is more than just a hair accessory. It is a sign of, a symbol of power, confidence. This isn't a word, but believingness. Like, literally, it's just a good thing.
However, a BBC article explains why JoJo Siwa bows were being banned across schools. The article states how some mothers felt about the JoJo bows. One mother claimed that her 10-year-old daughter spent all her Christmas and birthday money, over 100 pounds, on bows. "I'm tempted to chop them to pieces in the middle of the night and claim ignorance," a mother said. During this time, JoJo would often visit malls and do meets and greets. Since we never really attended these meets and greets, we don't know what went on during them, but we found this Reddit post where a user recalls the craze behind JoJo Siwa at the time. The user writes, "Back in 2015, JoJo did a mall tour and came to my area. I've never been able to meet a Dance Moms girl before, so I grabbed my sister, convinced her to go with me, and figured if my thoughts were correct and JoJo did make it big, we'd have a good celebrity I met story to tell someday. I wrote up the whole experience and posted it on Tumblr, and thought resurrecting it now might give some insight and perspective into why JoJo is the way she is now. Then this user went into a bunch of other details, telling how JoJo performed a solo fight song, talked about her time on Dance Moms, and also talked about her meet and greet with Abby after she left the show. So it seems like JoJo wasn't only selling bows, she was quite literally building a brand, visiting malls, and engaging with her target audience. In one of her videos, she also claimed that her bows were a big part of her money source when she was a kid. She made almost 8,000 different types of bows and ribbons and sold more than 8 billion.
How much merchandising and licensing do you have?
Thousands. Bows alone, there's over 8,000 different styles of JoJo bow.
How many bows have you sold?
Over 90 million, I think, is the number now.
No way. 90 million?
Isn't that wild?
What merchandising has surprisingly generated you the most income?
Toys.
Dolls?
Yeah, the dolls, the JoJo singing dolls. The world loves them.
However, the bullying and the dress code weren't the only reasons why JoJo Siwa bows were a problem. Her partnership with Claire's faced controversy in 2019 when the FDA issued a warning about a JoJo Siwa branded cosmetics kit containing dangerous levels of asbestos. As a result, Claire's recalled the product, adding a blemish to Siwa's otherwise thriving merchandise. Another sad thing about this entire bow business was that JoJo was prompting these products, going for interviews and recording commercials, while not even fully knowing what influence she had over young children. At this point, she was a victim. Just imagine being a 13-year-old and being the face of a brand that you didn't even create, that you had no part in. You are just a paid actress, a money-making machine for all these adults who are blinded by the shine of gold that you can bring to their wallets. It might sound a little extreme right now, but this exploitation actually led to many bigger issues in her personality. For starters, JoJo received a tremendous amount of hate in her later career, only because she was so annoying and so loud and so rehearsed all the time. She acted older than she was, and yet her IQ was so below her age. People hated her for that. But being in front of the spotlight for so long, she always felt the overwhelming need to perform, which pretty much brought about her inevitable downfall. Once she started growing up, so did her audience, and she was no longer an internet sensation. In fact, she was just a cringe creator who was trying desperately to stay relevant and sustain her brand. And in one such desperate attempt, JoJo and her mom also started their very own reality TV show called Siwa's Dance Pop Revolution, creating a brand new pop group known as XOMG Pop. Now, let's just say that this show ended up making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Rolling Stone published an article in 2024 about this show, in which a contestant slammed JoJo and Jess for creating a hostile work environment. We'll talk about this later, but keep this in mind, because this is an important part of JoJo's transformation from being the exploited to the exploiter herself.
I want the world to see the process. I want everyone to see the highs and the lows and the hard work and the never giving up. Because a lot of people say like, oh, I want to be a singer, I want to be famous. Like, they have no idea what it takes.
In 2016, JoJo also released her songs Boomerang and I Can Make You Dance. Boomerang actually became a song that garnered a lot of views on social media. It addressed the subject of bullying. The music video on YouTube has been viewed over 1 billion times. With JoJo's growing influence, Nickelodeon saw an opportunity to monetize her even further. In 2017, they signed her to an exclusive deal, making her one of their flagship child stars. This wasn't just about putting JoJo on TV, it was about owning her brand.
We started selling JoJo bows on my own, just me and my team, and the success of the JoJo bow is what drew Nickelodeon into my life. They saw that success, and they were like, well, we want to be a part of this and make this an even bigger merchandise empire.
Without telling me how much you make, what were the sales of bows and...
Maybe she will tell you how much she makes.
I wish I knew how much I made.
You don't know how much you make?
The bows have sold over 80 million.
Nickelodeon didn't just want JoJo as a performer, they wanted full control over her image and merchandising. Under their banner, JoJo's brand expanded even more. She released JoJo dolls, JoJo Siwa shoes and clothing line called JoJo's Closet, JoJo Siwa bedding and room decor, JoJo Siwa concert tours, JoJo Siwa movies and TV specials, her very own slime line, and the list can go on forever. JoJo actually joked in an interview about how she would play a game where people would give her a category and she would tell them if she has a product in that category or not.
I wish I knew that answer. I know of bows, there's something like, I know it's with an 8. There's either 800 or 8,000 different styles of bow.
Just
bow. I think it's 8,000 of just bows, different ribbons, different sizes, different shapes. Like,
will you give me the quick bullet point rundown of everything that JoJo Siwa
like
brand
products?
sells? Yes.
So it's easiest to do categories. So there's
no way to do
that's what I
products.
mean.
That's what I
Yeah,
mean.
so there's apparel, accessories, bedding, home goods, food and beverage, toys, electronics, books, like DVDs, CDs, party supplies, cosmetics, shoes. I guess that'd be an apparel. There's literally
somebody did like a house tour. I forget what it was, but I saw a house tour where they like you have like a room.
Yep.
And it's like all the different kinds. It's like
Yep.
a JoJo store.
Yep.
And I'm
Like we used to play this like game of like name a product and
Yeah.
like I can tell you if I have it or not, and like people would name all these random products and
we're like Band-Aids. She's like,
Yes.
yeah,
Cookware.
Cook, JoJo.
Cookware.
Yes, I have like plates and forks, like little kids sets.
Hairbrush.
Yes.
Duh. Toothbrush.
Yes.
Duh.
Singing and not singing.
I have it. You can't go to Walmart or Target without seeing your face.
Nah, you know who it sucks for is my exes.
She just made and sold so many products that there was no category left. She was dominating pretty much everywhere, and it was practically impossible to go to Target without her face flashing at you from every single direction. When JoJo signed a consumer product deal with Nickelodeon, it almost felt like the audience had been waiting for something exactly like this. With Justin Bieber and One Direction members growing up, there was no particular popular show or brand serving tween girls, and Nickelodeon was desperate to make JoJo Siwa fill this market gap. According to JoJo Siwa's Wikipedia page, in 2017, JoJo also appeared in a film called Blurt with Jace Norman and the show Lip Sync Battle Shorties with Nick Cannon. Siwa partnered with the American department store JCPenney in 2018 to release a line of accessories, bedroom decor, and a doll made in her likeness, and released several books aimed at young children. In 2018, Siwa was named the Breakout Artist of the Year by Vivid Seats. Siwa then announced that she would be going on her first major concert tour in 2019, entitled Dream, the Tour. This actually proved to be an extremely beneficial move for Nickelodeon and other brands she was working with. For starters, tours can generate millions worth of revenue in the form of tickets. Also, if children and their parents were going to attend these concerts, they were bound to purchase the staple JoJo Siwa items. For example, her bows, her t-shirts, and blingy jackets.
Can get tickets before anyone else. That's going to be happening on the 13th, okay? So if you're in my Siwanators email fan club, you're going to get tickets on the 13th. Now, if your parents have an American Express credit card, you'll be able to get tickets on the 14th. And now you're ready for this? This is the best part. If you are anybody else in the world, then real tickets, normal tickets will be on sale on the 16th. I'm so excited, you guys. You gotta get your tour tickets super fast because they're gonna sell out. There's meet and greet tickets. I'm doing a meet and greet in every single city, and there's only a tiny bit of tickets available for those. So you gotta get them soon. Tickets will be available at JoJoDreamTour.com. I wanna know, are you guys coming to see me on tour? Now I want to know for all of you guys who are watching this live, comment down below if you are going to see me on tour. Comment what cities you're coming to. I'm coming all over America. I'm coming to places in New York. I'm going to Des Moines. I'm going to places in California. I'm going to places in Texas. I'm going all over. It's going to be awesome.
Now, we agree that JoJo was also probably making a ton of money from this, but keep in mind that JoJo was only 15 years old at the time, and she was already touring, in which she was scheduled to perform 52 shows in different cities across the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia. The tour was scheduled to begin in Phoenix, Arizona on May 17th and conclude in Vancouver, Canada on August 20th. We all know that JoJo was a loud and hyperactive person, but this was still too much for her. She was still new to the entire music game, and she was not that experienced when it came to performing at one destination after another, day after day, without any rest. And we're mentioning it for the second time now, but we feel like this is an important thing to keep in mind. She was only 15 at the time. This was a huge responsibility for a kid. She had to travel consistently for hours, perform in front of millions of people, and always be on the go. This actually sounds awfully a lot like child labor. JoJo also talked about this topic and how she thought it was normal to be working at the age of 14.
I mean, listen, I always, from a young age, have been very mature, very unsheltered, like very open to the world, and nothing that I ever did was fake or was forced or was somebody telling me what to do. I mean, like literally with YouTube, for example, like I came up with, created, filmed, edited, and uploaded it all myself. You know what I mean? And so it's like nothing that I did was ever fake or phony or character, but I was young and I was 14 and I was working like a 37-year-old, but I was filming like a 12-year-old. We talk about my life, but I never felt young growing up. Like I remember being 14 being like, I'm 14. Like this is like 14-year-olds should work. This is like how it is. Like
Crazy.
And like same with 16, same with 17. And so to me, when I was 17 coming out, I was like, I'm almost an adult. Like this is normal. Now I look back though, being 20, only 3 years older. And I can't imagine how I'm gonna feel in 3 more years. But I look back at myself and I'm like, whoa, like to be a 17-year-old and to just go for it and to have no fear. I was like, I didn't understand at the time why people are like, whoa.
Now, before we talk more about her touring era, let's first have a look at her music career. So in 2016, JoJo Siwa released one of her most popular singles called Boomerang. In 2017, after signing a contract with Nickelodeon, JoJo realized an opportunity to launch her music career further with the support of a TV channel at her side now. So she released a bunch of other songs that did pretty well on YouTube. For example, Every Girl is a Supergirl, Hold the Drama, and High Top Shoes. And let's just establish that these songs were all bangers, especially for her target audience. JoJo had a mere 10 songs released when she announced her first ever multi-city live concert tour called Dream EP. This tour was sponsored by Nickelodeon and AEG, for which JoJo was very grateful. So despite the fact that she was too young to tour, she did it anyway to fill the pockets of all these adults who completely relied on her performance and hard work to make money. However, it was successful beyond belief. Thousands of people showed up for her shoes, and the energy was palpable throughout.
Say catch up with you later. What? See you later. See you later. I want mine to be rainbow. Oh, it is rainbow. Look at all those sticks.
I see them.
So it's 6:38 right now. Our show time is at 7:35, so we have about an hour. Now is normally when I would go to the bathroom for the last time, and then I would get dressed, and then I would put my bow in, and then I would go check around with everyone. But I have an extra second, so I thought that I would show you guys a few things. Number one, I don't have my bow in yet, obviously, because I'm getting that done. Number two, I just glittered my head. I rarely glitter my head, but today was a special occasion because my eye looks really good and my hair looks really good, so I was like, I gotta make my head look good too. But number three, this is what my dressing room looks like after the day. That is just straight glitter. Can you guys see all that glitter? And it goes throughout my whole dressing room. It's just so much glitter.
Seeing that her shows were such an immaculate success, her manager and Nickelodeon actually decided to add a total of 56 more shows to her tour, which made a total of 132 shows that she had to perform over the course of May 2019 to February 2022. Can you imagine? Almost 52 more shows were added to her tour, and none of them were hosted at the same place. This means that she was practically touring nonstop for more than a year. It was just crazy for a 15-year-old. When she was asked in an interview what had been her big motivation during the touring, she said that she made her name as one of the top touring artists. the affirmation that she as a kid never really got from Dance Moms. In 2019, when JoJo was about to start her tour, the FDA issued a warning about JoJo Siwa branded cosmetics kits sold at Claire's, revealing that they contained dangerous levels of asbestos, a toxic substance linked to severe health risks, including cancer. Claire's had to recall the product, and while JoJo herself wasn't responsible for manufacturing the kits, the scandal tarnished her brand. For the first time, parents started questioning how much of this was about JoJo and how much was just corporations slapping her face on anything they could sell. The asbestos scandal was a sign of a larger problem. JoJo wasn't just selling bows anymore. She was selling an entire lifestyle. But when that lifestyle started having real-world consequences, the illusion began to break down. Also, the asbestos scandal wasn't the only controversy that tarnished JoJo Siwa's brand. Another one of her products that caused a huge uproar was her card game, JoJo's Juice. For those of you who've been fortunate enough to have never bought this wretched game for anyone in your family, here's a little rundown of everything that went wrong. So this card game contained, well, cards, each with an interesting and open-ended question that the kid would answer. Now keep in mind that this game was made for children, 12-year-old boys and girls to be specific. However, it didn't have any questions that were in any way or form appropriate for kids this age. It dabbled in controversial and weird topics such as nudity, kissing, twerking, and stealing. A creator on TikTok by the name of Heather Watson actually made a very outraged video about this card game, highlighting some of the most insane questions on these cards. For example, have you ever stolen from a store? Do you know how to twerk? Have you ever been in public without your underwear?
Here's the box, 6+, and the card.
Have you ever walked in on someone or had someone walk in on you? Have you ever taken money from someone's purse or wallet without asking? Because we want to encourage that. Have you learned the art of twerking? JoJo has. Kissed a boy? Who in this room would you most like to date? On the front of the box, a bunch of little girls playing that game. So, yeah, that's a totally appropriate question, right? Have you ever been arrested? Most 6-year-olds have. Ever stolen from a store? But this one, though. Have you ever gone outside without underwear? A bathing suit doesn't count.
And the box says 2018, it's by Nickelodeon, and it says Viacom International.
And as if this was not bad enough, the adults who actually produced these games and these products refused to take any responsibility for it whatsoever. And as a consequence, JoJo Siwa had to make a video and apologize for it herself. But the sad part about this was that she wasn't even the one who created the game in the first place. JoJo wasn't the one who wrote, chose, or approved the questions. She just gave these people permission to use her name and face on the box. With that, the manufacturers were free from all sorts of accountability. So at the end of the day, it was JoJo's face on the box, it was her name on the front, which eventually made her responsible for everything.
Again, it has been brought to my attention by my fans and followers on TikTok that my name and my image have been used to promote this board game that has some really inappropriate content. Now, when companies make these games, they don't run every aspect by me, and so I had no idea of the types of questions that were on these playing cards. When I first saw this, I was really upset at how gross these questions were, and so I brought it to Nickelodeon's attention immediately. And since then, they have been working to get this game stopped being made and also pulled from all shelves wherever it's being sold.
Now, just so you don't lose track of the timeline, this was all happening during her tours. Another colossal thing that happened during this time was her coming out as a lesbian. And while you might think that this is not that big of a deal, especially in modern days where people are more accepting of homosexual relationships, turned out that it was a big deal for her audience. People just started hating on her overnight when she came out.
So I decided to kind of test the waters, so I posted a video of me just jamming out to Born This Way. And
That's what it was.
I remember this
that.
so vividly.
So do I.
This was like a really important moment in
Yeah.
So do I. I was in my kitchen. I know where I was. I was literally in my kitchen.
Really?
I think I was eating grapes. Continue.
She's engraved in your memory. So then, yeah, I posted that, and then the world kind of speculated more. And then like 2 days later, that same day I had posted on my close friends' Instagram story to like tell like my like next extended group of friends. I posted that picture of me wearing the t-shirt "Best Gay Cousin Ever."
That, I remember that too.
And I posted it on my
You're
close
so
friends.
iconic. Like, why do I remember the shirt?
I love it. And then like 3 days later, it was the middle of the night. I was on FaceTime with my girlfriend, and I wasn't getting good sleep at this time because I would just stay awake reading the internet, reading theories about myself.
Yeah, it's the worst.
And I told her, I was like, you know what? I want to post this. And on my, like, I want to tell the world. I want to just post this picture. And she was like, do it. And it was like 2 a.m. and I was like, okay, sent. And that was it.
On January 22nd, 2021, JoJo Siwa did something that no one, especially not Nickelodeon, expected. She came out as part of the LGBTQ+ community. JoJo was 18 years old at the time. She had been living as a walking, talking cartoon character for most of her life, but this was the first time she was showing something real. In the beginning, though, her coming out wasn't even that evident. She just posted this one picture on her Twitter captioned, "My cousin got me a new shirt," but it was no normal t-shirt. It had the words "Best Gay Cousin Ever" emblazoned on the front. As expected, this tweet did the job and made people really speculate about her sexuality, and the hate that came with it was, well, inevitable. JoJo talked about the backlash and said that there were more negative comments in her post than ever before after she posted the picture.
So weird because I did. And I was like, this is incredible. Like, the world had shown so much love, so much support. And then I read comments and it was the opposite.
Don't do that.
It was so, I remember vividly, I had like 52,000 comments in 24 hours. Like, I had never. And it was like the first 2 scrolls were like my friends, was like press, was like other celebrities. And after that, it was, I kid you not, if it was 52,000 comments, it was 51,800 negative comments.
Saying what?
And I was just like, I'm never gonna let my kid watch you again. I'm never gonna buy a bow again.
Like,
burning
okay,
all my
see you
child's
later.
bows.
Think about that, like all the conservative parents.
This really made her wonder what she did wrong. She obviously didn't understand why people were so mad at her. However, what JoJo failed to understand was that she was no normal person. She dedicated her entire childhood to being a human brand. Her audience, that is young girls and their moms, wanted to see her only in a certain way, dress a certain way, and behave a certain way. Mothers were particularly mad about her coming out as lesbian because they didn't like the idea of a teen pop star influencing their children's sexuality. Parents often don't want to discuss topics like sexual orientation with their kids, and it would be hard for them to not if their favorite influencer is making headlines for being the gay icon.
You know, my coming out was like kind of odd how it happened. So funny. It was so unplanned. So I knew since I was little that I was never straight. I knew that, and but I also was never like, oh, I'm gay. And I had told myself for a long time, I was like, one day, like, if I have someone to come out with, then I will come out. And so the TikTokers from the Pride House came over to my house and we did this TikTok together, and it was like to the song, Ain't It Fun, Ain't It Fun, Now That You're One of Us. And after I did it, I called my girlfriend and no one knew about us. No one knew about me even being gay yet. Also not her being gay, but us as a whole too. And I was like, I think after they post this TikTok, like, I think it's gonna out me. And she was like, it for sure is. And I was like, great, sick. And we had been dating for like almost a month at that point. And I was like, all right, cool. So then it did, and that video people were, you know, going bananas over. And so I was like, you know what? We're gonna have some fun with this. And so I did the one to Born This Way, because I was like, the thing is it's true. And that night, actually, one of the members of the Pride House, Molly, she texted me, and I've known Molly since I was like 7. She texted me and she was like, hey, like, if you want us to take this down, like, I'm sorry you're getting all this. And she didn't know. And so I texted her and I was like, honestly, Molly, I was like, I was trying to figure out a way to tell you guys. I was like, but it's true. I was like, I actually am in a really happy relationship with a girl. And it's my first ever. And I was like, so I don't really mind. Like, it's making this all super easy and feel super happy and welcomed. And I love it. And she was like, oh my God, we're so proud of you and all this stuff. And I was like, thank you so much.
But JoJo didn't come out instantly. She understood that her audience might not be able to take the blow of it. So she posted a TikTok video of herself dancing to Lady Gaga's song, Born This Way.
Then love yourself today, 'cause baby, you were born this way. I can't stay to buy, lesbian, transgender life. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born to survive, to live by a base, so that all I am made. I'm still on the right track, baby. I was to be brave.
Then she posted the t-shirt tweet, and finally, she posted a video on her TikTok after dating her first ever girlfriend, Kyle Prue, for only 1 month. She said, "I was here for 14 days with a girl that was my really good friend, and I realized that, oh, I like her." According to an Entertainment Weekly article, her fans missed many signs pointing to her sexuality throughout her career, as she said she came out to family and friends long before she told the public. She also said that she has been gay for a long time, but she wasn't entirely truthful about it, and now she no longer wanted to hide that part of herself from the world. Not only this, but she also said that her girlfriend Kyle Prue actually motivated and inspired her to be more upfront about her sexuality.
I think it's the first time that I felt so personally happy. Like, my career has always made me super happy, performing has made me super happy, but for the first time personally, I am like, whoa, happiness. It's so cool, it's so awesome. But my whole thing with me coming out is like, I knew since I was little. You can ask anyone in my family. No, I never ever would have said like, I am straight, I only like boys. I always just said, you know, like, my human is my human. And one day if that happens to be a girl, awesome. And if that happens to be a boy, awesome. Either way, it doesn't matter to me. And I found my human, and my human's a girl, and so I was like, all right, now it's time to come out. Let's do it. And I talked to my girlfriend a lot about it and what we wanted the internet to know and when we wanted the internet to know. And we dated for about a month before the internet found out. And we actually told the internet about us on our 1 month. And she was like, are you ready for the world to know? And I was like, I'm ready. And I asked her too, I was like, are you ready? I was like, because people know that we were best friends. And I was like, people know that we're best friends and they might start putting speculation onto you. And she was like, I am so in love with you. Yes, like, I don't care. They don't have to know, they can know. It never mattered to her.
She also came on The Ellen Show and talked about what it was like for her to be called a gay icon at such a young age.
You know, what a brave person you are, and congratulations for coming out this year. You have a lot of young fans. You've made such a difference.
Thank you.
I mean,
thank you.
It's huge that you did that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's great, and I mean, you have so much support. You're known. I mean, you're 18 years old, and you're known as a gay icon. And do you take that on, or how do you feel about that label?
It's wild to me. I think because I look at people who are called gay icons, you, Lady Gaga, Freddie Mercury, my favorite people, and to be in that category at 18 is just insane, and it's just because of who I am. It feels amazing. A lot of people have told me, you know, that I'm a gay icon already, which is wild. But one thing that actually just happened a few days ago is I was explaining to my dancers that are going to be coming on tour with me, I was explaining to them what my concert was like. And I was like, think of it as like 4-year-olds and gay 19-year-olds. It's like Kids Bop meets Pride Fest. That's my concert, literally. Kids Bop meets Pride Fest.
It's amazing because also this was and it really is. It's not a small thing to be that brave, and it's getting easier in the world. But it's a big thing for someone in this business to say, I don't care if there's going to be repercussions. I don't care what this is. This is who I am.
For a moment, it felt like the world was on her side. Celebrities, influencers, and fans flooded her with support. But as we mentioned earlier, not everyone was happy. JoJo's brand was built on parents trusting her as a safe role model for their kids. And suddenly, those same parents were outraged. Conservative groups labeled her as inappropriate for children. Parents on social media declared they wouldn't let their kids watch her anymore. Sales of JoJo Siwa merchandise saw a noticeable decline, all because she was a lesbian. Nickelodeon, once her biggest supporter, went quiet. JoJo had spent her entire career making money for them, but now she was becoming unpredictable. She wasn't on brand anymore. JoJo Siwa had spent years making the world happy. Now she was realizing that the world only wanted her if she stayed exactly the same. However, JoJo wasn't about to let the backlash stop her. Later that year, she joined another TV show called Dancing with the Stars, but not just as any contestant. She made history as the first contestant to compete with a same-sex partner. She was good, really good even, but the backlash kept growing. Another thing that we'd like to mention here is that when she was participating in this show, she was also doing her tours. She was rehearsing for her insane dance routines and preparing for her shows all at the same time. Despite all of this, JoJo made it to the finals. But even though she didn't win, it was clear that she was growing up. She was becoming more of herself and less of a character that people wanted her to play.
At what point did you start to feel like JoJo Siwa, the kid, wasn't authentic to you anymore? Was there a moment you're just like, this isn't me, like this isn't me inside?
Okay, so it was very interesting. It was while I was filming my movie, The J-Team, and I was filming that movie, and I was like, get this bow out of my head, because I was being now forced to wear it, whereas I never had. But when I was filming the movie, you know, the director told me, he was like, you're playing a character of JoJo Siwa. And I was like, there's no such thing. And he was like, there was like these mood boards of me having my hair down and in pigtails. I was like, no, if we're gonna be JoJo Siwa, like, and I'm 17 at the time, and so I was like, JoJo Siwa wears a side ponytail and bow. And why the are we talking about me in third person?
Yeah.
And he was like, because it's a character. And I was like, I am not a character. I am a human being. And he was like, well, the only person that can overrule me is the president of Nickelodeon. So I called the president myself, and I was like, homie, I'm going home. I was like, I'm not filming this movie. And he was like, why? What's going on? And I was like, they're saying I'm a character of JoJo Siwa. And he was like, well, you are. And I was like, then I'm going home. Have fun filming the JoJo Siwa movie without JoJo Siwa. And then all of a sudden I got my way, boom, bam. But I was always just annoyed on set because I was like, this is so stupid. Like, why am I coming to set to have a hair artist who was amazing and I loved very much, but have a hair artist do my hair in a side ponytail when I do my hair in a side ponytail and I'm JoJo Siwa, and like, this is weird. But then after that, right, that's when I like stopped wearing a bow, and like I kind of gradually transitioned to an adult. And then I did Dancing with the Stars.
She wasn't just the bow girl anymore. She was an LGBTQ+ icon, an advocate, and a performer. But the hate was never ending. People called JoJo cringe and thought she was so annoying. Nobody liked the fact that she was growing up. However, JoJo Siwa wasn't innocent either. She did some pretty bad things along the way, and the most prominent scandal that she's recently been a part of is related to her very own television reality show called Siwa's Dance Pop Revolution. We talked about this earlier in the video, but now seems like a very good time to get into the details. So in 2021, JoJo and her mom, Jesslyn, who is due for a shout out to be honest, since she hasn't been mentioned for a while in the video, started a show in which they promised all contestants a life of stardom. They basically advertised it in a way that said you could be the next JoJo Siwa. But the reality was far from it. In this show, Jesslyn and JoJo aimed to create a brand new pop group called XOMG Pop in order to become a pop music sensation by selecting 11 of the most talented triple threat girls across the country to compete for a spot in the group. It seemed like they were trying to find the next JoJo Siwa, since JoJo was now growing up and growing out of her beau phase very quickly. Now, this show started in 2021, and the Rolling Stone article that we mentioned earlier was released in 2024, so it does seem like the show ran for a long enough time without any controversies. Also, between 2021 and 2024, JoJo Siwa had other controversies to occupy her. For starters, the drama at So You Think You Can Dance. JoJo's next big move was becoming a judge on So You Think You Can Dance in 2022. It should have been another step forward in her career. But this time she wasn't just a contestant, she was in a position of power. And it would be safe to say that people completely hated it. Almost immediately, viewers criticized her, and they had many reasons to do so. They believed that JoJo was too young to be a judge. They also said that she had no technical experience to judge contestants on a show that was seriously focused on dance talent. They called her arrogant, accusing her of acting like she was more important than the other judges. We believe that the major reason why people were not ready to accept JoJo Siwa as a judge was because they saw her in one and only one box. For them, she was still a child, because that's how she marketed herself the entire time.
I was going through Twitter again this morning, and my girlfriend took my phone and threw it across the bed. It's more or less just frustrating. Like, hate on me, please. I'm down. Forgot about my dance knowledge. Like, let's go. I'm down. When you are saying something about me that is blatantly not true, that drives me mad. I grew up in a dance studio. Literally from the time I was 2, I did my first solo. I could tell you about every dance style. Am I the most knowledgeable in the whole world? By no means. Am I smart enough to be a judge on So You Think You Can Dance? Absolutely.
We understand that it's not completely her fault, But she also needs to understand that she was also a part of that. She willingly let herself become a human brand, and now if there's someone who will have to bear the consequences of it, it will be her. But this was not it. Something even worse happened on the sets of So You Think You Can Dance. One of the judges, Matthew Morrison, was fired from the show due to an alleged inappropriate relationship with a contestant. And even though JoJo had nothing to do with it at the time, fans scapegoated her, saying the show was falling apart because of her involvement. But like we said, JoJo was no saint herself. According to Reddit discussions, her appearance on the show sparked a lot of conversation due to her being photographed kissing a contestant from the show, Madison Rouge Alvarado, which many users considered inappropriate given her role as a judge, with some criticizing the potential power dynamic involved. By the end of the season, it was clear JoJo wasn't being seen as a rising star anymore. She was being seen as a problem. By 2023, it was obvious that Nickelodeon had quietly distanced itself from JoJo Siwa. She was getting no more promotions, no more partnerships, no more JoJo Siwa at the Kids' Choice Awards. She had spent years making millions for the company, but now that she wasn't the same bubbly kid with a ponytail and bow, they had no use for her. And then in 2024 came the biggest blow to JoJo Siwa, the most recent controversies surrounding her. Rolling Stone published this article titled, JoJo Siwa promised them pop stardom. They say they were thrown in the trash. In a Rolling Stone interview, a member of JoJo Siwa's group and her mother accused the group of mistreatment, including insults and punishing rehearsal schedules. Siwa and her mother denied all the allegations. Former group members Leah Sanderson, now 16 years old, allegedly never signed an NDA after her exit from the group. After months of teasing an explanation of what happened with the Siwas on her TikTok account, she announced the release of a Rolling Stone article explaining everything that happened and why she left the group. Or as the article tells the story, how she was abruptly fired. The article references an unpleasant work environment, group members' families severely struggling financially as a result of their daughters being in the group, missed school, and alleged psychological abuse coming directly from the Siwas. Now, Leia has spina bifida and was born with a tumor on her spine, which has caused her to undergo many surgeries throughout her life. One of these surgeries happened to take place around the time of the shoot for the XOMG pop music video. The article claims that people close to the production of Siwa's Dance Pop Revolution series, as well as Sanderson, stated that, allegedly, Sanderson was forced to work under intense physical duress, with Jesselyn encouraging her to attend a video shoot just a few weeks after she underwent spinal cord surgery. The article also reportedly references times when Leah was bleeding through her belly button and was expected to continue in rehearsals without getting blood on her costume. This event, after long-term tension and arguments between Sanderson's mother and Jesselyn Siwa, caused Leah to be fired over text. As we said earlier, this Rolling Stone article is a very accurate example of whatever happened to JoJo herself. Her education was also neglected. She was also mistreated by her dance instructors, and she was also pushed far too much. One thing to note here is that JoJo never thought of whatever happened to her as abuse, so she was willing to do it to the other kids. Maybe this was something that she grew up watching all her life, but she was not a kid anymore when this happened. She was almost 22 years old when the show started, and she should have known better than to put these kids through what she had been through herself. But no, the only thing JoJo cared about was sustaining her brand, even though it was slipping away from her hands with each passing day. And her list of crimes doesn't end here. She's not one of the most hated and controversial personalities on the internet for no reason. You see, JoJo Siwa has always managed to surround herself with the worst company possible. One good example of this is James Charles, Shane Dawson, and Colleen Ballinger. Not only this, but she also consistently defended these people.
What is this, spring in my step?
Totally spring in my step. She knows the name of the royalty-free YouTube track.
Okay, we all use the same one. We use.
Let's talk about James Charles first. If you don't already know, James Charles has been exposed multiple times for sending inappropriate messages to minors.
So here we go. November 7th, 2020, 9:24. Age check. You're thinking, could be harmless. He's just asking for my age. And I responded and I said, I'm a very mature 16. So we had like maybe 5 texts back and forth on Instagram. It was age check, I'm a very mature 16. But he then proceeded to snap me, and we snapped for a while, didn't really talk much, like whatever. Then I get this snap one day. Now, this is November 24th, 2020, James Charles. I don't know if this was the actual snap. I don't have any screenshots of my snaps, but I opened this snap, and I swear to God, it was a full ass pic.
If you're interested, we can cover him in a separate video, but for now, all you need to know is that he's a horrible person who denied all the allegations for the longest time. But then he accepted that he had been mistakenly messaging minors.
Fully understand my actions and how they are wrong. There's no excuse for them, and I don't plan on making any in this video either. I want you guys to know that this is very, very important to me, and I'm taking this very, very seriously.
Well, we don't really know how someone cannot realize that they're talking with minors, but it seems like JoJo Siwa had no problems with it. She openly defended James Charles, if not directly, then through her collaborations and videos with him.
Girl, don't do it. It's not worth it. I'm not gonna do it, girl. I was just thinking about it. I'm not gonna do it. I did it.
She also did a video with James Charles in which he did her makeup.
I feel like I'm Joelle right now.
Oh! Well, JoJo, thank you so much for coming on the channel today. Thank you for trusting me through this glam process. 2 years in the making.
Also, another one of JoJo's good friends appears to be Shane Dawson. JoJo Siwa had always been a fan of Shane, even collaborating with him after his scandals. This was highly problematic because Shane had a history of making disturbing jokes about minors, which JoJo was supposed to be a kid-friendly role model. Parents were shocked that she openly supported someone with such a controversial past, making her friendship with him another stain on her carefully curated public image.
Here, be sure to press that red subscribe button. But now I feel like it's time to go surprise Shane. Should we go? I don't know how I'm gonna carry all these, but I'm just gonna try to do this. Okay, so Shane, this one's yours. Boom. Rylan, this one's yours. And Andrew, that one's yours.
I actually was eyeing this one.
Were you? Okay, good.
Help.
Hey Shane, it's JoJo. I just want to send you this video saying, hey, your video is not a failure. I mean, even though it kind of is a failure, nothing you do is a failure. But I heard you need some help with this video, and I just wanted to let you know, seriously, Shane, bows do make everything better. They really do. Bows are our superpowers. Don't quit. Be your own star.
Purposes, no hate to anyone involved. Little bit of backstory. So if you don't know who Shane Dawson is, he's a YouTuber who last 2-3 years has been largely off the platform. And the reasons for that being is people found really disgusting content back in 2020 from his entire career regarding children, people of color, tweets, and as a result, he was largely deplatformed. People held him accountable for his behavior, and a lot of people believed that he didn't deserve a platform. So Shane has still been creating content, and recently he posted a second video on a second account talking about YouTuber brands and products and being brutally honest with them. And one of those is talking about JoJo Siwa. Well, apparently JoJo has been a fan for a really long time because she drove up to his house, spent time with him, and they talked about being canceled. Now Shane didn't downplay his cancellation, and she talked about how hers was like romances, which to a point I understand. Her being held accountable is much different from him being held accountable on the internet. Oh, got a part.
And let's just not get started on Colleen Ballinger. JoJo and Colleen have actually been friends for a very long time, since JoJo was 12 to be precise. They both made a bunch of videos together and even joked about things that they shouldn't be joking about. But the most disturbing part is that Colleen was an adult when she started hanging out with JoJo. And JoJo was only 12. Now, you might be thinking there isn't anything that wrong about it if they were just friends. After all, she wasn't the only adult JoJo was collaborating with. But the issue is that they were never just friends. She made videos of her twerking with JoJo. She even told JoJo that they would cuddle when she turns 18.
I got so upset at Rachel the other day because she pulled the minor card. It's like, because you're a kid. And I was like,
Rachel?
I was like, when you're 18, we'll cuddle or something.
Wait, hold on. You're gonna gloss over this? That you told JoJo Siwa, when you're 18, we'll cuddle? Is this the new scandal?
And then there's this one video where she's bashing JoJo for not having a boyfriend. We mean, a grown adult woman making fun of a 15-year-old for not yet having her first kiss is just gross.
Anyone?
You have never kissed anybody?
Never.
JoJo.
Never in my whole life.
What?
I know, right?
Never have I ever not had a boyfriend. I have not had a boyfriend.
I have not had a boyfriend, yeah.
So you've never had a boyfriend?
I've never had a boyfriend.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Isn't that shocking?
That's so embarrassing.
Weird.
Really embarrassing, JoJo. That
Okay,
no
can we
one
just-
has ever
let's
wanted
just- let's
to be
just
with
move on.
you.
Can we move on,
No one
please?
has ever wanted to date you. That's so embarrassing.
No, I've actually had a few of them ask, and I've still turned them down.
And to make matters worse, as soon as JoJo turned 18, she started saying things like this about her.
Hey, you're the bottom, I'm the top, but we don't have to stare at that the whole time.
I am a bottom, and you.
Am I?
I am.
No, I know, but you're like, and you're out. I was like,
You're a bottom.
I'm a switch.
Okay.
But, you know, there's always a slight preference.
But JoJo never said anything about this. On the contrary, she claimed that Colleen did nothing wrong and that they had always been good friends.
Speaking of friends, are you, and if I'm wrong, are you friends with Colleen Ballinger still?
Yeah,
What do you say about
I've
that?
known Colleen since I was 12.
So for those that don't know, Colleen is in the middle of a kind of a...
It's tough. It's a
Colleen, what was the name of the character?
Miranda Sings.
Miranda Sings. My other daughter went to all the concerts and everything, and she's getting accused of things.
Yes.
Which we don't have to talk about that she's accused of, but I would imagine if you're friends with her, you kind of met her when you were young.
I was 12 when I met her.
And
she's always been nothing but kind to me. Her family, nothing but kind to me. I think it's really, this is the first time that I've talked about this, so I just want to make sure I say my exact piece that I want to say. The internet can take a lie and run so far with it, so far that it's to the point where you just can't do anything about it.
JoJo's relentless defense and protection of questionable individuals spoke volumes about her own moral compass. Time and time again, she stood by people whose actions raised red flags, refusing to acknowledge the harm they caused. It wasn't just about loyalty. It was a reflection of what she truly believed was right and wrong. In shielding them from criticism, she revealed more about her own values than she likely intended. However, the next phase of JoJo's life was even more disturbing. At some point, every internet personality reaches a crossroads. For JoJo, that moment came when she realized that her once loyal audience wasn't so loyal anymore. Maybe it was the backlash over her questionable associations, or maybe it was the growing fatigue over her refusal to take accountability. Whatever the case, JoJo decided it was time for a rebrand, a fresh start, a new image. Unfortunately, the problem with rebranding is that it only works if it's authentic. JoJo started her rebranding long before it was announced. She chopped off her hair, ditched her signature bows, and started dressing more minimally during interviews. Not only this, but her entire demeanor changed along with her wardrobe. She also started talking more openly about her relationships.
What's dating like at the level of celebrity that you're at?
It's really tough. My dad yesterday was like, anyone can find love if they just look for it. And I was like, show me where, Dad. I was like, I've been looking and I still am. I've had 2 serious girlfriends. I had a boyfriend for a time. That was cute. It's hard to navigate. My whole life has been in front of the world, and so I'm okay with my life being in front of the world. I'm okay with sharing everything about my life, but once I'm in a relationship with somebody, it's like, now it's their life too, that maybe they didn't ask for this, you know what I mean? So it's tough, it's complicated. I've been off the dating scene for a hot minute. Dream guest on my podcast? Oh my gosh. I mean, honestly, let's spice things up. One of my exes.
Oh? She swore more openly on television during interviews, which was something that parents didn't like very much. Whether you accept it or not, she's been a child star for a long time, and her young audience still looked up to her despite her growing up. In 2024, JoJo started teasing her new music, Karma. She really thought this would finally help her audience perceive her as an adult. However, her hyper-sexualized new image became the major reason why she has been consistently mocked and made fun of by the internet. In the pursuit of trying to make an identity for herself, it seems like JoJo fell into the category of cringe and downright bizarre. JoJo relaunched her musical career with a song called Karma, which basically portrayed her as a bad girl. Not only this, but her entire style changed with this song. She did not only ditch the oversized bows, but it looked like she was now turning into an edgy queen of the hell.
Can you take us into those conversations a little bit of what you wanted to get out of the next era?
Yeah, honestly, I wanted to make art that made people go, what? Similar to Miley Cyrus' Bangers, Britney Spears' Slave for You. That for me was very important that I brought back crazy. You know what I mean?
And you're doing it, look at you. Look
You think I look crazy?
In the best way possible. It doesn't have to be a negative thing.
No, I look crazy.
No, in the best way.
I'm here and literally...
Karma was meant to be JoJo's grand statement, a declaration that she had moved on from the past and was embracing a new, edgier persona. The music video was a fever dream of forced bad girl aesthetics, featuring JoJo growling into the camera like she had something to prove. She wanted people to be shocked. She wanted to show she wasn't that happy-go-lucky girl anymore. However, this rebrand only left people secondhand embarrassed for JoJo.
There are people in my generation who have gone from child star to adult star in music world, but not this 180. When I first signed with Columbia, I said I wanted to start a new genre of music, and they said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, it's called gay pop." And they were like, "What's that?" And I was like, "It's like K-pop, right? But it's gay pop."
So according to JoJo Siwa, she invented gay pop, and she was doing something that no one in her generation has ever done. There are a lot of moments from her interviews that are not only outright hilarious, but also embarrassing.
What is happening with your head?
Honestly, what's happening on my head, what's happening in my head, we never know.
If you guys, you have a Tesla that is completely wrapped
in like my 15-year-old face.
And it's like 100 of your faces. Why do you drive that car?
And let's just not start on the song itself. To put it nicely, it has the most bizarre choreography anyone has ever seen. And that paired with JoJo's edgy face makeup made it even more cringe and absurd. On top of this, she's been posting some seriously insane TikToks, acting unnecessarily erratic and dancing like a peacock ready to mate. Overall, her rebrand has been criticized by many. They think it's cringe, not genuine, and embarrassing. A user on Reddit wrote, "I just can't take her rebranding seriously for different reasons. One, imitating others. She admitted she wanted to do like Miley in her Bangers era. While I get it, I think she spent all her life being like her mom wanted her to be. She doesn't know how to be herself. She only knows how to imitate others. Her Karma look looks like she's doing a Kiss tribute solo on Dance Moms. It doesn't look very adult." 2, not letting go of her mom and Abby. When kids grow, they leave the nest. Yet JoJo is still involved in her mom's business, like XOMG Pop, who turned out to be a band of musical chairs because of the Siwas. She still keeps contact with Abby, a teacher who bullied her. I wish JoJo would go to therapy and figure out who she really is, instead of doing what she was taught to do by her mom and Abby. She shows zero sign of personal growth right now. The weirdest part about JoJo's edgy rebrand wasn't just the drastic shift, it was how try-hard it all felt. It wasn't a slow evolution into a more mature style, it was an overnight decision that felt about as authentic as a Halloween costume. And then there was how she talked about it. She insisted that this had always been her real self, despite years of aggressively marketing herself as the human embodiment of a glitter bomb. She acted like she was making some revolutionary statement, when in reality, she just swapped out neon for black. She tried to play the victim, making it seem like anyone criticizing her was just hating instead of acknowledging that maybe, just maybe, the whole thing felt forced. Ironically, karma did bring JoJo some form of karma. It exposed just how desperate she was to stay relevant. Instead of naturally evolving into a new version of herself, she flipped so hard in the opposite direction that even her most loyal fans were left scratching their heads. People weren't shocked, they weren't impressed, they were just confused. Because at the end of the day, you can change your clothes, your hair, your music, but if you don't actually change, people will see right through it. And JoJo, she was still the same stubborn, unself-aware person she has always been. Only now she was wearing combat boots and screaming about karma as if that somehow made her deep. Also, some things that JoJo Siwa said in some of her interviews really sounded like alarm bells to us, especially when it came to her family. In an interview podcast, JoJo's mom Jesslyn confessed that when JoJo signed the contract with Nickelodeon, she told her husband that they would have to permanently move to LA, and let's just say he didn't take the news very well.
It was like more permanent.
I mean, it's so scary, but what
It's
what was
insane life changes.
I know.
It
Was he
is.
like, do I keep my job here or do I find a new
Yeah,
one?
and it's like we knew like with Dance Moms, it was like 8 weeks on, 2 weeks off. You know, there was like a little bit. This was like
Schedule.
a whole like we're taking her and we're moving to LA.
Yeah.
And he was a chiropractor back there, and he did have a huge practice. I had a dance studio, you know, and it was like, what do we do with
It's
all
an
of that?
insane risk.
Mhm.
It's an insane
Huge,
risk. Yeah.
huge. And then we kept my son in school, and then when it was like my son's junior year, I was like, you're missing everything. Like we were traveling the world, and he's just like going to high school every day doing the same thing, you know, and I'm like, you need to see what we're seeing.
During the Dance Moms era, JoJo and her mother Jesslyn used to share a one-bedroom apartment in Glendale, California, and her father Tom and brother Jaden stayed back home in Nebraska, where, unlike his sister, he got to attend high school like a normal person. But Jess apparently thought that he was missing out. Regardless, now with Nickelodeon's contract in the bag, the entire family had to move to LA. Keep in mind that JoJo's dad, Tom Siwa, was a licensed chiropractor, and he had a good practice in Omaha. So if he was to move to LA, it probably meant that he would have to leave his job and start relying on the money JoJo was making, more or less. And from the way JoJo describes her lifestyle and financial situation from back in the day, it seems evident that the entire family was pretty much living on what JoJo was making. So they had no choice but to move and keep encouraging her to work hard and, well, make more money for them.
I have so many questions.
No, yeah. My family grew up healthy. We didn't grow up, I mean, we weren't rich. We were middle class. Like,
Yeah.
my dad was a chiropractor, so he had a great job. My mom owned a dance studio, so she had a great job. My brother went to private school. I was homeschooled. Like, we had a very nice, comfortable life. But then, like, there was a point in time where, well, I was on Dance Moms. You know, we got there and my mom dropped everything, left the studio. My dad and brother stayed in Nebraska, and we got my first check for being on Dance Moms. And we were like, no, like, we can't live off of this for what we're doing. And, like, it wasn't us being shady. It was a very, very... or greedy, I guess is a better word. It wasn't us being greedy. It was a very small check. And it was like, we were like, we literally can't do this.
Yeah,
And
people don't know that enough that, like, especially pilot beginning season,
Yeah,
you're making no money.
You're making
Yeah.
nothing, and you got to put your time in. And then we did. We made it work. We put our time in, and it ended up being good. But then, you know, there was times where we were living in an apartment, and it was me and my mom, one bedroom. We turned the living room into my bedroom. My clothes was stored in the kitchen cabinets.
Yeah.
Like, not to say that, like, we struggled. I mean, we were always blessed.
Yeah.
We always had food on our table. But, like, I think people think that, like, I just got everything handed to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, like, nah, there was never a point in time where it was like, yeah, honey, do whatever you want. Like, mommy and daddy got you. Abby used to say that, like, daddy works on the weekend, so you can do whatever you want. And I'd be like, nah, like, my dad works hard for a house payment.
So it seems like the entire family was relying on her paychecks right from the beginning. Even when she was doing Dance Moms and her pay was not the best, she knew that her pay was not enough. For a 10-year-old, this seems very weird to us. Why should a kid even worry about her pay not being enough to take care of the entire family? It almost felt like she was made to realize from a very young age that she was going to make the money. In this interview, JoJo also talked about her Coogan account. Now, if you don't already know, a Coogan account basically takes 15% off whatever money is made by a child and puts it aside so that they can have access to it when they're above 18. It's a regulation that is set to protect children in show business and to prevent their parents from stealing all their money.
I'm trying to think if there's like a specific moment where I was like, oh, truthfully, I won't lie. Literally like maybe 2 weeks ago,
Baby, you have a Lamborghini.
I found out how much like we had saved.
She's in her Lamborghini. She like sees a Prius. She's like, damn.
She's like, it's good out here.
No, like 2 weeks ago, I like finally processed because so I had a Coogan account.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So
So many
Coogan
questions.
Yeah, Coogan account takes 15% of every penny you make while you're a child, and
Yeah.
it has to go in there. Labor laws of California.
Yeah.
And so my biggest financial income was consistently my YouTube. And so like I would see that come in every month, but then my like big like chunkers were I made up a word today, platonism.
I love platonism.
I love platonism. That's my new word.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, platonism.
I make up words on this podcast every week.
Yeah,
and then there's like 80
every
tweets
week.
about
It's the
how
best.
stupid
We
I
have a
am.
canceled dictionary.
And so my merchandising, when those checks would come in, like whatever.
Like you knew the bows were bringing in the dough.
Yeah, and then
Wait,
once
so
I got
I'm sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off, but does the Coogan apply to like those situations or okay.
everything?
Oh, okay.
So
Even
every
your
penny.
YouTube,
And then
everything.
lots of like f***ed up parents take their kids' Coogan accounts. Like I know.
Yeah, like
some
Jeanette
are, like,
McCurdy's
No,
mom.
they
Get
can't.
weird
So
lawyers or
that's why
whatever.
they invented Coogan accounts, because it's the
Oh.
opposite. They would take their money and then they were left
Okay.
with nothing.
But wait,
Yeah.
wasn't it Jeanette McCurdy said that her mom never like properly filled out the paperwork?
That
so
also
it never
happens.
went.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
She never set it up properly.
That's-
So she didn't. Her mom got all the money.
I mean, that's why that's there to try to protect you.
Yeah.
But some parents
Or
still are
shiesty.
just shady. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I turned 18, I had to go and get the Coogan account, and transfer all the money. But we didn't for a minute. We waited till I was probably 19 and a half. We just did all the paperwork because it's a process. And once I was able to process, this is 15%, add 85% of what this is, and that's that number, from 9 to 18 blew my mind. That was damn hard work, but so worth it.
In another one of JoJo's interviews, however, she talked about her parents' concerns that she's going to take her Coogan account money and run away. So she had to constantly tell her mom that she would never do such a thing and they would split it 50-50.
When you are a kid, 15% of every penny you make goes into a Coogan account, right?
JoJo Siwa went on the Call Me Daddy podcast and has joined the conversation about children and Coogan accounts.
Mom actually said something today to me that was really sweet. They've had this fear. They had this fear because, so when you are a kid, 15% of every penny you make goes into a Coogan account, right? And so my parents thought when I turned 18, I was going to get my Coogan account money, take all of my money, and have it all be mine and be like, good luck, everybody, I'm an adult now. And I told them all the time, I was like, I can give you so much reassurance, but I will never do that. But it just is going to take you realizing over time that I'm never going to do that.
Moreover, she said things like how her mother has given up everything for her, so she deserves a portion of the savings that she's got for herself now, almost after 18 years of working.
We've been 50-50. She was really good about doing the work that I didn't want to do, but she could do, behind the scenes managing stuff, dealing with people, and then I was always good at doing the stuff that I could do. And you know what I mean? And we were a really good team, and she gave up everything for me. I gave up my life essentially for the world.
Now this, according to us, is manipulation at its finest. First off, we're assuming that both of her parents lived pretty much off of JoJo's earnings. JoJo says that when she saw how much that 15% was, she was blown away by it, so it must be a lot. If that was only 15% of what she made over the course of her life, imagine how much she earned in total throughout her career. But most importantly, where did the rest of it go? Now, not to be too dramatic, let's just assume that her parents used all that money on JoJo and spent it on a comfortable lifestyle for her. This still doesn't explain why they were worried about JoJo running away with her 15%, which she rightfully owned. They already got a good chunk of her money, 85% to be precise. What else could they possibly want from her? But despite this, she still ended up giving some amount of her money from that 15% to her parents, which according to us at least is child exploitation at its worst. JoJo was just being manipulated to be a provider for her parents at 18. Her mom saying that she should think of her family as someone from the streets is just disturbing. Were they so detached emotionally that she had to put her own family in a perspective of neediness and helplessness? Her telling her mom she needs a mommy mom and that, shockingly, it has gotten harder as she's older. Probably because she realizes that the relationship was hardly there to begin with. She has to rebuild that and find new boundaries. All she knows is a 50-50 business partner that frames herself as a needy person off the street rather than a loving mother figure. Also, JoJo refers to herself as the problem because she's growing up or changing. That's just absurd to us. Another thing that we noticed when looking at this one podcast from Canceled with Tina Mongeau and Brooke Schofield was that JoJo didn't seem upset by the fact that she had to give up her entire childhood to be the brand that adults wanted her to be. She talks about a lot of things in this podcast, including how her parents never really got her back and how she had to work nonstop. But she not even once blamed anyone for exploiting her. On the contrary, she consistently defended her mother, Jesslyn, and surprisingly, also Abby.
I always say there's a difference between good crazy and bad crazy.
Yeah.
And listen, to be a child star, you do have to have parents that are driven.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And are stage parents. But there is a good crazy and there's a bad crazy. Tish Cyrus, Beyonce's mom, for example. Like, I'm sure Miley's mom, Tish, and I can't think of Beyonce's mom's name, but they're a good crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
they're still driving their kids across the country to get them to an audition.
They're a damn
but they're
good
not
stage
like
mom.
Yeah, but they're not like wear this, do this, be this.
But then there are some bad stage moms. I don't want to shit on anybody, but we've all seen people who have come out and have resented their parents, and it's tough. Like, you just you see why. And I've had a lot of moments where I'm like, wow, if I didn't have a good family.
Not only this, but she also talked about Abby and said she didn't do anything wrong.
She's sassy. Abby Lee Miller, that's a nice way of putting it, you know what I mean?
Funny.
But she talks like, and you were one of the only ones who would kind of talk back to her and like be like, you know, like stand up for yourself. Did that ever affect you though, like the yelling and the that she said?
You know, it's interesting because yes and no. Like, I went into Dance Moms being a fan of Dance Moms.
Yeah.
And like #1 fan, still am. Like, I literally watch Dance Moms every day.
I watch it a lot too. It's a great show.
Love it. Like, I'm obsessed with that show. And so I knew what I was getting myself into. And I'll never forget, it was like week, maybe like 2 or 3, because it was when I started to be on the pyramid, so it was further in, and my mom was like, God, I just hate that you're always on the bottom of the pyramid. And I would be like, dude, I literally told my mom, I was like, the people at the bottom get the TV time. The people at the top, congratulations, you're on top. That's it.
Yeah.
If you're on the bottom, then your mom fights with Abby, and then you get more TV time.
You've always been an adult.
Yeah, and
she's a genius.
Yeah, thank you. But that's, I mean, like, I don't know. It was good if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and like, you're cool with Abby now, yeah?
Yeah. I always try to remember where I came from. Like, and I always would tell myself, like, Abby's just doing her job too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Damn.
And like,
that's the that's just how the dance community is.
Yes. Dance teachers are not typically nice. Like,
Yeah.
there are
They
some
can't
nice
be.
dance teachers, but like,
And guess what? Abby Lee Miller actually made a response to this, celebrating the fact that she finally learned something.
To me, Abby was always right.
JoJo, you finally learned something?
The way she's talking about these people who legitimately exploited her, even at the age of 19, explains a lot about how her mind developed. She didn't think anybody did anything wrong to her. She believed that all of them were actually doing their job. We understand that this is something that she was fed from a very early age, but we think she should at least realize what's evident now that she's an adult. However, the real question is, does JoJo really deserve all the hate? Is she really that annoying? We'll leave that up to you guys to decide. But whatever we say, we cannot overlook the fact that she grew up not ever fully knowing herself. Her fate was decided for her, and she had no say in it. She was put into the toxic world of show business and was pushed to become a human brand when she was only a child. Because of this, she never really had an opportunity to discover herself. And now when she's trying to break free, she is failing miserably. She is just trying to copy people and come out as someone edgy, but the reality is that she doesn't even know who she is. With this, we'd like to conclude this video. That's all we have on JoJo Siwa today. If you stayed this far into the video, then don't forget to give it a huge thumbs up and comment down below to let us know what you think about JoJo Siwa's edgy rebrand.